going, brother? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Can you give me a computer? I'm doing well, brother. I didn't realize we had a call at 6 p.m.
Oh, no worries at all. Do you want to
Sorry about that, man.
Oh, you're good.
You good? Um,
You hear me all right?
what did I say in my application? Just to make sure it's everything's good.
You want to go over it real quickly? You said you're trying
Yeah.
to achieve. Hello. You're trying to achieve career transition or industry change. You're between roles. You do currently have a business. You want to focus on leadership, time management, burnout.
Okay. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah, take your time.
Sorry. Okay. Let me just give you kind of just a rundown. I just run sales teams, and right now my industry is info, and at the moment I don't really think this is. I mean, yes, yeah, I'm making good money. The biggest amount of money I've ever made in my 6 years of entrepreneurship, right? But I don't really think I can, this info is really not going to sustain it, to be honest with you. Yes, I'm working with one of the biggest guys. You just look up M19 Golf Mastermind, and you can just look up who I'm working with. I currently do have an NDA, but I'm making $500,000 for 6 months. This is where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Oh wow, very, very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, well, first of all, good for you. So what are you providing from like the info space? Like what are you actually giving?
All I'm doing is just running sales teams. That's it.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so you're actually running the sales team. So you're running the outbound for them, and then you are just basically on a retainer with them to run the sales teams for them, or are you running the sales teams as well?
Yeah. I'm just running the sales team this one. That's it.
Oh, okay, cool. And so
I just maintain a 450K cash collected for 6 months. Maintain at least a 450K cash collected.
Okay, very cool. And so do you usually have one customer, multiple ones at the same time, or you usually only focus on one?
Right now it's only one customer right now, but I don't really think anyone else can pay me $1 million a year just like that.
No, I mean, that's completely fair. I've been in a similar situation where I actually built out a lot of the automation for Alex Ramosi. And so that took a lot of my time and effort, obviously. And obviously I charge them for that as well. And it kind of depends on who you're working for and who you're targeting to adjust your pricing based off of the level of effort you're going to be putting in there, obviously what people can afford, because I know people don't talk about this in the openly, but if you're working for a mom and pop shop down the street, you're not going to charge them the same if you're, charging Coca-Cola, Google, or any of those guys, right? So the question I have for you is, do you want to stay in the space, do what you're doing, do it for multiple customers at the same time? Because there's definitely a lot of room for you to expand in there. Now, will you be able to charge them the same? No. Will you have to do the same scope? Maybe also not, right? And so the question then I would have for you is, do you want to keep doing this? Because if that answer is no, that's a different conversation. But if you do want to keep doing this, the question is, okay, who do I sell myself to next? Can I combine that with what I'm already doing? Do I need to hire someone else to come and take that off of my plate? But if you can keep doing it yourself, this is what I did first, is I scaled as much as I could, and I priced myself differently for different organizations. So you can look at it at a way of, okay, well, no one else is going to be able to pay the fee that I'm currently charging this one massive whale of a client that I have. But would you be willing to accept something at a lower scope for half of that money?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know if it'd be, because it took me, I've been working with him since August of 2025. I kind of lowballed myself for 60K for 3 months. And then it just ended up, he was like, hey, you want to go full time? I'm launching this new mastermind and I'm looking for just the best of the best. I was like, okay. The only thing is, I just want to make sure that whatever I'm like doing, I can I don't want to sell info myself because I'm 21. I started business at 16, 15 going 16. So it's just like, can someone listen to a 20-year-old that's making $1 million a year? I mean, yes, but I want to make millions. But there's
Mm-hmm.
this, I want to start my own, but I don't want to start like a sales floor or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or mainly, I started a marketing agency for 2.5 years. Realized that the churn was too terrible for. You have to either go up supermarket to charge, to make increase your margins, or just keep going through the churn and marketing space. And it wasn't worth it. And
It's very extensive. I mean, you're 100% spot on. I mean, first of all, I want to say, like, you're in a really good position for a 21-year-old. That's already very astonishing, to be honest. Because I wish I was you when I was 21. Because when I was 21, I was still chasing the professional athlete dream, and I had no business experience whatsoever. So first of all, take a step back and like look at where you've gotten yourself to, and be proud of that. First of all, right? So take a step back, take that in. Then, okay, let's determine what you want to do next. So when you want to get down to the path of millions, right? If you want to make millions of dollars a year, you have to create something, basically, right? You have to be at such a level that either any company you join is willing to pay you that amount of money a year, which is a very, very small subset of people. You have to come up with something where you can scale it to a level where you're basically racking in millions of dollars a year in revenue, where then you as the owner of the company is obviously taking a big portion of that. But in that prospect, you also have to be able to grow something. You have to be able to scale it. You have to be able to train people on doing it the same way while limiting the output loss that you're going to receive. So the reason I say that is because I tried to do the same thing. When I first got to a certain level, I said, okay, great. This is the perfect time for me to scale because I'm in a really comfortable position. I had zero overhead costs, right? I pay for a couple technology tools and everything else was just pure profit basically to me.
Pure profit, yeah.
And so I was gonna scale. And so I actually hired a couple people, and my assumption was, oh, these people are hungry. They were like me, they're gonna learn as they go, kind of how I did. And they're going to want to put their best foot forward, et cetera. And then if they're doing well enough, like I want to promote quickly, I want to give people big raises, big bonuses, all this stuff. I quickly realized that you can't teach someone the hunger, right? And when people start working for your company versus working for themselves or versus working for like a longer, bigger end goal that they have, that hunger very quickly gets subsided. Because now all of a sudden you're working for a company, you're not working for yourself anymore. Why would you, working for a company, work just as hard as me when 85, 90% of the profits are going into my pockets and not yours? I wouldn't, right? That's why I started working on my own. So there's a very fine line where I think it's really hard to figure out, is it the right time to scale? Do I want to put the effort into scaling? Do I want to build all the training material? Do I want to train other people to get to a level where we can have them as these top individual contributors running around representing my name and my company? And I think that's a really big question. And like I said, if you look at some of these biggest people, if you look at Alex Hormozi, right? His wife, Layla, runs acquisition.com. Alex runs himself. And now Alex is included in a lot of the things at that company where he'll be on the marketing meetings. He has a lot of the strategy. He works together with a lot of the people that work there full time. But he's not the one that's going through and actually managing and training people. He wants nothing to do with that, right? He has so much knowledge that anyone can learn from him, but you learn by just working around him. You don't learn by him building training courses and stuff like that inside the company. He wants to help organizations as a whole. And I think that you have to be a certain type of person to be willing to be that people person. And honestly, I don't think I'm that people person because half the times my response is, well, why didn't you just look it up? And that's where I kind of have that disconnect where I'm like, if I was you, I would have looked that up 2 months ago. But you're now here for the 4th time asking the same questions. It's been explained. I honestly don't know what else to do because I would have just taught myself. And so that way, I think a lot of people that are really good at that have that people skill where they have the patience to work with someone like that. They don't mind explaining it over and over again. And they really want to put other people's best foot forward constantly over and over again. I get to a point where I'm like, if you are going to get it, you're going to get it. And if you don't, you don't. And I think that that's also a really good thing to keep in the back of your mind, depending if you want to scale or not.
How do I find that person to, give them equity or give them, how do I find that people person? I'm going to be honest with you.
That's a really
Did you pay for it? I mean, I could pay for it, but like, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I guess if you're Alex and Layla, you marry that person, right? Because that person's clearly Layla. Once again, go back to people I've worked with, right? I've worked at some companies that have really, really great people persons. I have worked at companies that have really awful people persons. And the difference is shown throughout that organization very quickly. I can't answer you how you hire that right people person because I've never done it. So I'm the wrong person to ask that. I do know that Layla posts a lot about this, so I would watch her stuff because she posts a lot about that kind of stuff. But I have no idea because A, I'm not that person myself. So B, I don't know what to look for in that person. And C, I've decided that I want to keep myself as an individual person. So my business, my effort, whatever I put into it's going to come back out of it. And I'm fine with that. I think what my next step is going to be is I'm going to diversify what I do and basically build subsections, industry specific, and then use the industry specific subsections to then hire people that have knowledge in that industry. So as an example, let's say I want to go after, I don't know, the legal industry. I know people that I've worked with because I've worked with law firms that are really good at SEO, scale, processes for legal entities. And so what I want to do is I want to create a subdivision of my company and say, okay, any new business that comes in that's part of a legal entity that's looking for help will go to the sub business. And in that sub business, I'm going to split the revenue with you guys equal ways, right? So I'm going to do the operations. You're going to do the sales. You're going to do SEO, AEO, and marketing help. And you're going to be, I don't know, legal project manager, right? So I'll go into that with 4 people and I'm going to say, listen, we're going to do this. I have all the overhead costs. So 50% of the revenue is going to go to the company with half of that going to me. 20 and the remaining 50% is going to be split up with it's 2 people, 25% each, or if it's 3 people, 50 divided by 3, 17%, whatever it is. And so that's one way that I can see myself scaling without having that sort of
extreme overhead and like
exactly
exactly
without the extreme overhead. First of all, because first I'm going to say, listen, we're testing this out. I know you guys are on board. Let's split revenue in the beginning, right? So there's not really going to be overhead costs because we provide services, right? We don't have any actual physical spaces or anything like that. Most people, it's going to start as a side gig for their full-time role, so it works out well. And then I'm going to say, okay, let's do this together. Let's all have equal stakes in this. And then that other 25% will cover our overhead costs of any technology tools or emails and all that domain that we need to have, the website, all that kind of stuff. So for you, I would almost look at it the same way, right? Like you have this niche that you found, right? You're really good at it clearly because otherwise this guy would not be paying you the amount that they're paying.
Yeah, absolutely not. I'm grateful, but it was finally, I like literally 6 months ago, the biggest money I ever made was like 20K a month profit a month. You know what I mean? So like this is the biggest.
Yeah, and that's
right now.
Amazing, right? It's amazing. And now the question is, okay, now that I'm here, what do I do next? Right? Because I kind of get the sense that you're similar to me, where you feel like if you're not moving upwards, you're kind of stagnating, and you kind of feel like you don't feel like you're failing, but you feel like you should be doing more because you've gotten to this level and now you're like, okay, what's next? And honestly, that's the best mindset to have because that's when you're going to start asking the questions so that you can figure out how to get to that next step. So
absolutely.
What I would do if I was you is I would heavily lean on that exposure that you currently have by using that to sell yourself to other people. That's where I would start first, right? And then once you have 1 or 2 more clients, and they don't have to be at the same level, they don't have to be at the same revenue, but once you have that, try to find someone that's interested to do the same thing that you're doing, bring them onto those 2 smaller customers, let them learn from you. Just be like, this is a new employee, he's learning everything. Let him be part of the whole scope. Once that 3-month or 6-month renewal comes up and they've been on the account for 3 or 4 months, pass the account over, pass it off, and now let them handle that, right? You can still check in. You can still be on a once a month, check in and stuff like that. Make sure everyone's happy. If you only have 2 or 3 customers, you can give them your personal cell. They can text you if they're not happy with the new support to like keep them satisfied. But that way, start delegating these new customers to this new employee and slowly start scaling that way. And obviously, once you start handing these things off, you can start paying that new employee part of that revenue. And because it's your business and whatnot, I'm not going to tell you how to split it. But what I would do is I would say, okay, you take this, we're splitting it, I don't know, 50-50, right? Because I brought you on, I taught you, I got you this opportunity, you're taking it over. And any person that's coming on as a 21-year-old, if you're charging 20K a month, they're going to be happy with 10K a month when they were not making that before, right? Then if they can take on 2 or 3, now all of a sudden they're at 20-30K a month. Now all of a sudden you're making 30K a month and this person's running it for you, and you're focusing your time on your main customer and then hopefully bringing on that other person. And now you have 2 people. That's how I would scale it if I was you, honestly.
That's I think I already know what to do, man.
I mean, listen, I'm just spitballing here, but I mean, your path sounds very similar to mine. I started with, like I said, I've started with smaller contracts. Then I started with acquisition and with Alex it was also a 3-month thing, and I ended up working with them for almost 2 years, right? And I think that as long as you put the output and the effort in there, then really at this point, you can grow it as much as you want. You just have to put the effort in. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it literally started off with a 3-month contract, and now it's like a $1 million contract for a year. Wow. Okay.
At 21.
Similar situation.
Awesome.
Similar situation.
Awesome.
Similar situation.
Awesome.
Yeah. Also, so you build customized CRMs.
I customize CRMs. I don't build them. So I work with people that have now primarily HubSpot, but you have HubSpot, which is a very, very big CRM system. And so a lot of customers that I work with first come to me, or someone mentions me to them, where they're like, oh, you have HubSpot? How do you like it? Shit, I don't get anything out of it. They're like, talk to this guy, Chris. He worked with us before. He helps us with it. I'll come in. I'll say, okay, what are you guys using for HubSpot? I'll look at it and I'm like, why are you doing this way? Why are you doing it that way? What's your sales process? And then that usually turns into a bigger agreement where then they say, will you come on and redesign our sales process? And then I'll work with someone, usually like yourself, that's running sales. And I'll say, what do you want out of your CRM? And you say, I want to see my 5 reps, how many calls, meetings they're making a week. If someone comes into the website, I want to automatically route to this person if it's above a $10 million business, or this person if it's in Texas, or whatever you want. I go in, I put in all the logic into play, give it back to you. You say, awesome, that's exactly what I wanted. And then I leave, is what it comes down to.
Okay. Because I just met someone that already does build custom CRMs, and already had various. Okay. But yeah, I found someone that actually does that at the moment.
That builds custom CRMs?
Wanting to partner up with them.
Yeah. So it's very possible, and I'm technical from a sales perspective. I'm not technical from an engineering perspective, right? So there's a lot of very smart people out there, especially now with Claude and all these AI builders and whatnot, that can build custom CRMs very quickly. There's a main reason why I usually say don't get a custom build, and that is because if you build something custom, it's also going to be custom to adjust it. And that's why a lot of people switch from Salesforce to HubSpot, because in Salesforce, you needed architects, engineers, to go in and actually write code and make adjustments. And it's very expensive, time consuming. You have to either have that person on retainer or a full-time employee, versus HubSpot, it's drag and drop, right? So a lot of people like that aspect, because once I leave, you don't have to call me again and say, hey, hold on, we have this new field we want to add. How do I add it in the custom code? You just say, oh, wait, hold on here, drag and drop. I enter it in, hit save, and now it's in there. So that's the only caveat I have to custom. I would just keep that in mind if you're thinking about building something custom yourself.
Okay. Let's go. Okay. So you sell HubSpot to multiple different businesses, basically, to fix their shit, right?
Correct. So I'm a HubSpot partner. So theoretically, I can sell HubSpot. I don't really focus on that part. I usually get brought in as a fixer of things. I don't really do outbound. I don't do sales myself. Like I said, 95% of my customers are all referral based. So it's really the work I put out, and then someone else in their network asks for help, and then I get connected, and then we go from there. But yes, HubSpot is used by every industry I know to this moment. Sorry about that. So it's used in a lot of different.
What niche are you in?
Sorry?
Right now? What niche are you in right now?
Right now, I'm in no niche. I do everything. Every single industry, doesn't matter. I haven't focused on anything. So, like I said, I've worked with Alex. I've worked with private equity firms. I've worked with management consultant firms. I've worked with law firms. I've worked with everything you can think of and under the sun. I don't discriminate on what industry you're in. I'll do it. That's why I think one of the things I can work on is scaling specific verticals that are hyper focused on one specific industry. Then you can also build repeatable processes and say, hey, we've put in these workflows for X, Y, and Z law firm. Your law firm probably could use the same thing. And then you can start reselling the same thing. You create a repeatable process. Once you create something that's repeatable, you can scale on it. Currently, I can't scale on what I'm doing because every single thing I do is different for each company. And every single company I work with wants to work with me because of my experience. So how am I going to scale that when there's only one of me, right? There's plenty of people out there better than me, but they're not going to be part of my company because they probably have their own. So that's my limitation. And I've known this for quite some time. I just haven't done anything on it because I genuinely love what I do. I really do. I like being in a different atmosphere every time, a different ecosystem. You're using a different tech stack. So yeah, you might have HubSpot as your CRM, but now you have these 4 tools. One is this dialer I've never heard of. One is this billing system I've never worked with. And so I basically get to touch everything on the market all the time, which I genuinely really love. And so that's why I've kind of just stayed doing what I'm doing for the past 2 or 3 years.
Yes,
No, take it in.
No, but dude, you're amazing. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, I appreciate that. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, like I said, you're much further than I was at your age. So it's very cool.
I sacrificed a lot.
Sorry?
I sacrificed a lot, man.
I believe it. Absolutely. I believe it.
No friends, so only have 2 business partners I've been in business with for 3 years, but that's pretty much it. So.
Yeah, that is definitely that's a hard lesson. When I started going on my own and following this non-traditional route, very quickly became apparent that certain people, and not on, like my close friends are still there, for the most part. But it came very clear on that when people constantly were asking, wait, you started your own business, like how's your business doing, blah, 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 and people being genuinely interested, you could tell that certain people didn't want to hear about it, right? And it was always other guys. It was never women never had a problem with hearing about my female friends, no matter how many times I said the same thing about my company, didn't care. But for certain guys, and this is competitiveness, right? I think as a society, we've kind of stirred away from that, but it's normal as a man, I think, and as a woman, to be jealous, to be, envious, to be like, shit, like, why is this person doing this? Why didn't I do that? Like, I'm just as smart as this person, and I'm still working my 9 to 5, and this guy's working from Barcelona this weekend, right? Because the benefit is if you're willing to sacrifice and you put in the effort and you show up day after day after day, you get luxuries out of that, right? Well, at the same time, you were hanging out at Thanksgiving with your family. I was on my computer because one of my customers had a problem and I decided to fix it during Thanksgiving dinner, right? There are are benefits and there's cons, right? And I think like I'm gonna just keep talking about this guy because I got to work with him. But like Alex talks about this all the time. He's like, if they're not in your friend group anymore, they were never meant to be there in the first place. Because as a friend, I want to see my friend succeed. I want to see you succeed more than me. Let me learn from you. Man, if you build out a multi-billion, million-dollar company, let me soak up all the information on how you did that so I can try to do it myself. I wouldn't be envious in that, but it's easy for me to say because I've already gotten to a certain level that some people find successful. And just you know, it sucks at some point, but keep in mind, like at the same time, you're 21 making that amount of money a year, right? So is it worth it? In my opinion, yes. Financial freedom is one of the biggest freedoms I think you can buy. You can always find new friends. Go buy a table with that money you're making anywhere. You'll have plenty of friends for the night. I promise you.
So. For the night, not for.
No, but that's not going to change no matter what, right? So I think, especially in today's age, it's really hard to find genuine people as it is. It's even harder to find genuine people when you have things that they don't have. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And I unfortunately just think that that's price to pay for success. And like I said, that's coming from someone who's considered moderately successful. I don't think that I'm at the level that anyone would bat a massive eye at, but I've experienced it. You've experienced it. You're 21, right? And I don't think I've seen a single person that's gone down that same route of entrepreneurship that doesn't call it lonely, because it is. But in my opinion, I'd rather be lonely than be screwed over. So for me, I kind of like it this way.
That is true. That is true. And you said you worked for venture capitalists. Would you ever get into that niche? And I think about getting into it this coming up year.
Yeah, I've actually been speaking with someone who started their own firm not too long ago, and they've been asking me to come on as a part of that team that would basically come into any of their organizations they buy into. And I've considered it for quite some time because I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd be really cool to be part of that part. I haven't really been part of a lot of organizations that have done the pre and post acquisition trial. So I would be really interested to see what that happens, how you can actually affect multipliers before someone, gets bought out, et cetera. Because that's definitely something that's missing from my portfolio, which is why it really intrigues me. But at the same time, I've always been a little bit standoffish from it because I've just heard so many things and so many people screwing people over and getting burnt out. And I'm just being very careful about it. But I think that this year I might take the leap and jump in and start slow with them and see how it goes, because I really like the founder. We somehow more actively connected on LinkedIn one day and just started chatting, and one thing led to another. But I really like the person as a person so far. So I think that that's what the big differentiator for me was, to be like, okay, I can see myself working with someone like this.
Absolutely. It's been a great chat. It's been a good chat.
All right. Well, listen, you have my Instagram. If you have any other questions or you want to have another chat, like, we can definitely have another one. And also, if you decide what to do, let me know, because I'm definitely interested to follow along on your journey. So definitely let me know.
Absolutely. I honestly thought this wasn't going to be productive, but it has been absolutely amazing, man. Well, I wrote down some notes. I already have I already have good AI already written down notes too. So it's been really amazing. Also, I'm gonna bring on one of my partners next time, so he can pick your brain too on how to scale.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I have my note takers, so I can send you the transcript and the video as well if you want to have them. But like I said, it's so nice to meet you. You have me on Instagram, so always feel free to DM me if something else pops up. But it's nice to hear about your journey, and I wish you a lot of success. And let me know what you decide to do.
All right, thank you.
Nice to meet you. All right, bye-bye.
Peace.